Hey, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Brown Gent. In this video, we're going to talk about hardware wallets and how to pick the right one, but also some interesting questions have come up repeatedly on how you can use the hardware wallets in your airdrop farms, and is it a pain in the ass like it would seem to be? So, with that being said, let's get into the video. Just remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own research. And as always, we've got a private group, the Web3 Secret Society, if you want the extra coaching, guidance, and support. And as you know, we've got a new role available, the Web3 Captain, for more of an in-depth, high-profile kind of connection. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about the Grid Lattice Plus, or the Grid Plus Lattice. So I'm just going to unplug this here. And by the way, most people who see these videos are probably going to ask, what makes me qualified to talk about any of this? Well, unlike a lot of people who just like to talk, I've actually done the full 360. I have tried all of these devices. So this is the Grid Plus Lattice. I love this. I think the problem with this, number one, it's almost always out of stock. That's usually the number one concern. Number two, it is, how do I put it? It's somewhat cost prohibitive, right? You see here, the price is like 400 US. That's a lot of money when you consider it or you compare it to the other options that are out there. But I have it already. So if that's the case, why do I still have an issue with this, right? Remember, I've already paid for it. It's not out of stock because I have it. The problem is because it only works on EVM chains. So if you are only in EVM, then fine, perfect, do it. But if you're not in Ethereum, layer 2s, and other EVM chains, then this thing is a piece of junk. And that's sort of what I've realized as I've branched out outside of EVM. Can't use it for Solana, can't use it for IBC, can't use it for Aptos, cannot use it for Stacks. The list goes on and on and on. And not just that, there are times when this is down completely because the Grid Plus team does a lot of work. And as they're doing that, I remember I went into their Discord and I had like some sort of priority mint or something I had to do. This is like a month and a half ago, sometime in end of January, early February. And I said, hey, like, this is not working. What's going on? I've lost access. And they're like, no. And then turns out some new programming they did short-circuited everybody's device. So I'm like, you know what? After that, literally, like, I have not turned this on. Why? Because, like, what's the point? So for me, for them to make this worthwhile for me to use again, it's got to be more compatible. I've got to be able to use it with a ton of stuff. Not just that, I also want to make sure these people don't mess around, and because I need access to my funds. If you as a sort of company are willing to make changes that could jeopardize my access, that's unacceptable. Okay, so that is the Grid Lattice Plus. I'll plug it back later. Okay, the second one is called Keystone. Now Keystone is somewhat new, and my buddy Eric Tippett told me to get it. He said, or he didn't tell me to get it so much as, you know, I asked him which hardware wallet he was looking at, and he said that this was way better because it broadcasted transactions. There was no real connection, so it was hard to hack, all this other stuff. So what did I do? I bought a couple of them. You know, I gave one to my wife and I got one for myself. And I'll show you right here. You can see it. Like I said, I got all of them. I don't know where my Trezor is. I haven't had. I'm kind of spoiling which one I would choose already by saying that. But this is the Keystone wallet, and honestly, this thing is the biggest piece of trash. I had Bitcoin stuck on here for like 4 or 5 weeks. Once again, because they don't have the right support. So you can't talk to anybody on the team. Number one, if anything goes wrong, you're on your own. And all the apps they support, they're very restrictive on every chain. And when there's only one path to get your tokens, you are super reliant. So I was reliant on, I forget which wallet type. It was some no name, whatever. And it was the absolute worst. Now, somebody from the private Discord asked me to do this. So you see this hammer? You see this? You see this? Okay. We'll just leave it here. I think the screen is somewhat broken. We'll see. It's hard to tell. Yeah. You know what? That's actually a bonus. It can take a hammer quite well, but I don't know if I was really trying that hard. But I think this thing's another piece of junk. So I would not touch this with a 10-foot pole. This company, their products are terrible. They have a seed phrase holder. I had bought this metallic seed phrase holder where you put all this stuff in there, and the clasps aren't strong enough. Even when I checked everything, and I looked the next day, the whole thing was scrambled. So I had to redo the entire wallet because I just didn't have the seed phrase anymore. So this is out. This thing's also a piece of junk. Wouldn't touch it. Now, Trezor is actually the closest we get to something decent. And the reason Trezor's good is because they have a lot of coverage. They don't have a mobile app or mobile support on this, but they do have access to a lot more chains. And they're very sleek and they're very easy to use, right? So I like this for that reason. I know a lot of people like Trezor, and it's okay, right? Trezor's okay. But at the end of the day, I'll just be honest with you guys. Ledger beats it out for me. Like Ledger, I just love their ecosystem. And, whenever I bring up Ledger, somebody will always bring up, oh my God, they're compromised, or oh my God, they wanted to do a backdoor. But that's not the reality of what happened. What happened was that, what happened was they had a Ledger recovery option, which they were trying to push on people. But if you're smart, you just say no, right? Like this is like getting mad at MetaMask because you signed a transaction and got scammed, or you're getting mad at your bank for allowing you to send money to some guy who told you that he was your, the long lost prince in Nigeria, right? The reality is it's usually a ton of user error, not anything else. Like if the user chooses to do it, so be it. But we tell everyone, do not do this. Do not store your seed phrase on a sort of centralized piece where it can be taken from you. That's the last thing you should be doing. Now, what I like about Ledger versus everything. So I'll just be straight up with you guys. Ledger was my first hardware wallet, and I went all the way around and came back to it. I thought Ledger was actually going to be the worst of the options, but as I tried everything, it just made it super clear that Ledger was the most sleek thing that I could use. So I have so many ledgers, and what I love about it is you can literally go and switch from chain to chain to chain to chain to chain. Super, super clean. I haven't seen anything that I have not been able to access on Ledger at this moment. I'm sure there'll be a chain out there that won't do it, but usually even new chains, it's sort of like, for example, when a new chain comes up on EVM, it just falls under Ethereum. So it seems like a very sleek solution. Now, will this always be the best? Of course not. In fact, I hope that something better comes out because that's what we want in this space. We want people continuing to fight for innovation. And what I think is really cool is I'm one of those people who everyone, those people who love to buy the new iPhones and check everything out and get the new technology. I have a friend who has the new Samsung, the new iPhone, the new Google Pixel, whatever the hell it is, right? And I'm like that with hardware wallets. I want to really try everything and see how it goes. The Ledger stacks, I want it. It's sort of out of stock, and so I'm going to wait. Now, if you look online, there are places you can buy it, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Never buy a wallet that is not coming directly from the manufacturer. Do not even trust anyone to buy it for you and then send it to you. Never. Whenever I give people ledgers, if I'm paying for it, I make sure it's shipped directly from the manufacturer to them. It should never go from a second party or whatever, because you never know if they tampered with it or anything like that, because this is a ton of money and you don't want to risk it just because you chose to save a few dollars because somebody had it on sale for $10 cheaper. And I've heard people getting screwed by that. And even when you do the reset, and people will say, oh, you can just go reset it, whatever. I think they've gotten a little more advanced that even when you reset it, it almost like keystroke and saves it. I don't know how the technology for that works. I'm not smart enough to know how this works, but don't add extra risk by not buying it from the official sites, which is why I always say, go to Ledger, don't go on Amazon, not worth it. Ledger, always go directly to the website, okay? Now, the one that I like is the Nano X for a couple of reasons. One is the space, but it's also like the user interface. It's very, very clean, and they have Bluetooth if you want it. Now, I don't use Bluetooth. I know some people like that because they have the phone and everything. It's up to you. I think Bluetooth might add a little more risk, so I don't do it, but I can't fault you for doing it. Now, one of the things we did in the Web3 Secret Society yesterday was I put out a poll to understand how people felt about their hardware devices and just asking around. For the most part, a lot of people said, hey, I don't have a security device, or I'm putting it off, or it's too inconvenient. There were some people who have it, and I think most of it people had Ledger. But what I'm going to be doing only for the members of the Web3 Secret Society is I'm doing a drawing for a free Nano Ledger X. It will be available for anyone who qualifies for the following. One, if you are part of the countries that can be shipped to, and if you're okay with giving me a shipping address and your contact info, obviously confidential, I would delete it after the fact, but it will go to whoever wins it, and I will then destroy it, right? And they have to be part of the membership group at the time of the drawing, right? So they have to vote to sort of be qualified in the draw. Then the drawing will happen, and then I will check if they're still in the group, which I think we've had like 3 people leave over the course of 2.5 months. I mean, whatever. Like I'm okay with people leaving, right? Like I think, only be part of the group if it gives you value and it doesn't take away from your investment opportunities. So if you're interested, check it out. It's cool. One of the things I do want to mention here as well is around the ledger. So a couple things. If you have airdrop farms, you're probably wondering, well, this is going to get in the way. I say it won't, because the number one thing you do with a ledger, right, when you first set it up and you first have the opening screen, right, you'll be given a seed phrase. I tell people never write this on your computer. Don't put it in your text messages or whatever, like your notes. Write it down on a piece of paper. Then put it into your bank or whatever you want to do. You can get those devices online that will store it for you, like they're like metallic things where you can write it in there. That way you don't forget. And then that seed phrase has never been online. So no matter what happens, no one can extract that from you because you've never typed it online. Which is why I tell people, I don't personally like to type seed phrases into a computer, because if there's malware, if there's some sort of screen recording going on, right, they could get your access to your keys and you have no idea. And then one day you just wake up and it's all gone, right? Nothing you can do. Doesn't matter if you have a ledger, if they have your seed phrase, doesn't matter, right? So the first thing I would say, the reason I love ledgers for this is I can then add hardware wallet on any sort of device, and it doesn't require a seed phrase. It just pairs with the ledger. I do a few confirmations on the ledger and whatever, and we're good to go. On top of that, you're actually able to create multiple wallet addresses. So here's an example. You guys know the wallet that I have that ends with B6 BCF8. This is showing my Ethereum balance or whatever at the time. But below it, you can see all of the other wallet addresses I can add. And by the way, there's arrows, so I can keep adding tons of these. And the beauty about doing this kind of stuff, right, is by doing this, I am able to continuously just add wallet after wallet after wallet, and this will allow me to just sort of create an airdrop farm if I want it, right? So I can say, hey, like I want 30 wallets that are under this ledger, and the ledger will have the same seed phrase, and you literally just sit here and you tab, and you are good to go. So this is sort of kind of the path that I think most people could take if you want to. I think personally, I think it's really cool because you then get the opportunity to, you have the opportunity to sort of create this wallet farm and you don't need more than one ledger to do that. And from protocol perspective, they don't see that, these wallets are connected or anything else. So it's not a bad deal. You know what I'm saying? So just going back to that, now that you have your sort of wallet farm created and you're able to sort of add hardware devices, you can then build out your footprint and there's no issue or whatever. Now, from a perspective of like convenience, most people will say, oh my God, like I really don't want to confirm every transaction. It may be annoying the first time, but I promise you, after you start doing it, you will be doing it like instinctively. You're not thinking about it. Just like when you're driving, right? Like if somebody asks you, you 1 hour drive. Oh, can you tell me about the drive? You probably don't remember. You're probably just listening to music. You're probably on the phone, whatever. Maybe you're watching a video on your phone. I don't know. But it becomes an instinctual thing that you do viscerally, and you're not really, you can't remember exactly what happened, right? You just know that you did it. That's exactly what doing this looks like. Now, I'm just looking at 2 questions I got from somebody in the Web3 Secret Society. They had asked about the pros and cons of switching from a hardware wallet, from a hot wallet, and the risks. Well, I think if you're on a hot wallet, you're always at risk because of your seed phrase. Most hot wallets, right? They were on browsers. So at one point they were visible. The seed phrase was on the internet. It was available somehow, right? This is huge for me. I don't like that. The other thing is, if you've already created your seed phrase, like you have your seed phrase, right? So let's say you have a hot wallet and you're like, well, I want to put it behind a ledger. You can't really do that. I mean, you can, but it's not safe, because in order to put it behind a ledger, you'd have to import that seed phrase into your ledger, at which point it's the same as your hot wallet. So what's the point? What I'd rather do is create another wallet, a new wallet, and then from there you connect and you get your new address and you do that. When I switched over and started doing this ledger things a couple years ago, yes, it sucked. And I understand for sure, like there are some protocols you're farming like ZK Sync and others where it matters about your on-chain activity. But what I'm talking about is for the future. At some point, you have to get started. You might as well get started now. At a minimum, use a ledger to protect the majority of your funds that are not being used to farm airdrops. That is what I think at minimum you should do. Beyond that, like even my hot wallets, or the wallets that interact with protocols, they do have that. Like they do have a hardware wallet myself. I see here that Hugo's asking, when you create a ledger account and you connect the ledger and the app says it's original, is that okay? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what they're able to do. The only one I would trust is from the actual manufacturer. Without it, I just don't have 100% trust. So I couldn't do it. That's just me. It's up to you. Like I said, it's really up to you. I would not want to do that. The same reason why when my buddy quit crypto and said, hey, like I'll sell you this wall for $50. Like buddy, like that. Acquaintance, right? I'm like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? This could just like end up being bad. So say, hey, look, thank you, but I'm good. Like for me, I would rather just destroy it than give it to somebody else, because it's not a good habit to perpetuate, right? Maybe it's one thing if your significant other gets it for you, but otherwise I wouldn't do it. But I think really the risks are more if you stay on a hot wallet than not, because one of the things you have to avoid is you want to be able to sleep at night. There's no how great you feel when you get a $3,000 airdrop. Imagine how bad you feel if you lose $10,000 or even lose $3,000, right? It'll hurt much more than the $3,000 you got, even if you lost the same amount. Just would hurt way more. So I think for everyone who's doing this, it's definitely something you should be prioritizing. A couple things that you may forget after you switch, though, because this is another question that was asked, is Ledger. Probably the one downside of these hardware wallets is if you don't use them for a few minutes, they lock, and it's done to protect you, right? Like in case you leave it somewhere and somebody comes by and if it's unlocked all the time, they can get access to it. But one of the things that you need to do is just be aware, hey, like I've got to make sure I'm on the right chain, right? Because maybe you installed Ethereum app, the Solana app, maybe you installed the Aptos app. Well, you've got to be open in the right app when you're on the protocol. So this is why, like when I'm farming, I do it sort of rotationally, so that I'll do all my Ethereum stuff first, or my EVM stuff first, then all my Solana stuff first, or second, right? And that way I can rotate. But that is sometimes, you know, you won't recognize it until you do it enough times, because when you submit the transaction, you won't see anything come through. And you're like, wait, what's going on? But it's because you don't have the app open that's appropriate. So that's usually the biggest hiccup that people have. The only other thing that I would say about a ledger being like hacked, like, you know, people are wondering, what a ledger does is it's basically a two-factor authentication, right? So any transaction you do, you got to sign off here. That's why if they have the seed phrase for your wallet, because it's the same as your ledger, well, then you're screwed. That's why I don't like having them the same. That's number one. Or, sorry, I don't like it being the one that you've already revealed. The things that can still go wrong is, like, if you sign a transaction and you basically say, hey, like, you know, you can take all the funds in this wallet. Well, there's nothing the ledger can do, because you have signed off and said, hey, you know, it's cool, don't worry. You know, they can withdraw $10,000 of USDC whenever they want. So if you do that kind of stuff, you're screwed. This is sort of what a drainer does. Now, one of the things I do recommend, and I'm going to open this up in a second here, is, and for those of you who are not new to the channel, you'll remember this. It's called Wallet Guard. This is probably my favorite other security app. Basically, it like tells you whenever you do an interaction that, hey, like this is what's going to happen to your wallet. It's going to add this, it's going to subtract this. You hit proceed anyways, and then it will sort of move forward. At the same time, if you go to some sketchy website, it'll say, oh, I think this is a suspected wallet drainer website. So sometimes you could literally like go to one of those scam websites. You know, maybe I'll go on Twitter and see if I can find, you know, somebody tagged me in one. And I told them, you know, this is fake, man. Like, what are you doing? But you know, Satoshi usually has one. I'm going to share this in 1 second. Satoshi VM. Everyone's always posting some sketchy ass thing below it, right? So they typically always have some fake thing about an airdrop or something, and we'll see if they have some fake things going on here. Just go figure. Like, the one time I'm looking for a fake thing, nothing's here. Can you imagine? So just go here, because I always find that Satoshi VM has a ton of scammers in all of these things. Maybe there's something below here. Nope. Show. Come on. Nope. I guess they've probably given up on this, maybe. Let's look at Manta. Like, what you want to do is like I'm seeing if I can show you an example of one of the sketchy ones. Oh, here it is. No, this is the real one. Damn. Where are the fake ones at? Like, did Twitter just get better at hiding them? Come on. Okay, whatever. Apparently, I can't find any. I usually can. BTV, just right. BTC. Yeah. Yeah, and yes, Hugo, it does work on Ledger. Like, if you sign a fake transaction, you know, nothing. The Ledger, all it does is approve stuff for you. So if you approve it, Ledger's like, all right, well, you said okay, so it's fine. So you got to be very vigilant and make sure you don't go to fake websites. Like I said, Wallet Guard's good. It's not 100% at like 100% protection, but it's another like flag, so the barrier in the way. But I think ledgers are very, very good. They also have a Ledger Live app, which I think is good to sort of help you see everything you have across the board. I mean, you already know we have other things like the bank, but you know, here you can see like everything, like across all the chains in one. So I think that is pretty nice. And so this is sort of what I would recommend for all of you guys. I'm gonna head out to the gym because it's like 11:35. We will do an AMA tomorrow. I just can't do it tonight just because I'm super busy. But if you haven't already, make sure you like the video because it's very, very important. Share this video because people need to be using ledgers. They need to be using hardware wallets. So hardware wallet first, if you want to use a ledger, go for it. You know, we're going to give away a ledger next week in the private group. So with that being said, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.